Nestled amidst rolling hills and whispering willows lay Harmony Springs, a place where nature and tranquility coexisted in perfect harmony. A quaint town untouched by time, where the echoes of the past lingered in every corner. Its inhabitants, souls with hearts as pure as the morning dew, lived their lives in quiet contentment. Children played freely, their laughter echoing through the valley, a symphony of innocence and joy. Days melted into a comfortable routine, each one blending seamlessly into the next. Life was simple, peaceful, predictable, a gentle rhythm that everyone cherished. A stark contrast to the darkness that was soon to engulf them, a shadow that loomed ever closer. The air was always filled with the sweet scent of honeysuckle, a fragrance that brought comfort and nostalgia. A gentle breeze rustled through the leaves, carrying with it the sound of birdsong, a melody that soothed the soul. Farmers tended their fields, their faces etched with the wisdom of generations past, their hands skilled in the art of cultivation. Harmony Springs was a place where time seemed to stand still, a sanctuary from the chaos of the outside world. Little did they know, their idyllic world was about to be shattered, the peace they had known forever altered by an unforeseen darkness. The sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the town square. The once bustling streets now lay quiet, bathed in the eerie glow of twilight. The air was thick with an unspoken tension, as if the town itself was holding its breath. A lone figure emerged from the woods, silhouetted against the dying light. His movements were deliberate, almost mechanical, as he stepped into the open. The fading sun cast an ominous glow around him, making him appear even more mysterious. Tall, gaunt, with piercing blue eyes that seemed to see into the depths of one's soul. His gaze was haunting, as if he carried the weight of countless untold stories. Those eyes, so intense, seemed to pierce through the very fabric of reality. The stranger wore a long black coat, its collar turned up, obscuring his face. Whispers spread like wildfire. The townsfolk exchanged nervous glances, each wondering who this enigmatic figure could be. His presence was like a dark cloud casting a shadow over their hearts. Who was this enigmatic figure? What secrets did he harbor? The questions buzzed through the town like a swarm of bees, each more pressing than the last. What brought him to their peaceful town? Harmony Springs had always been a place of tranquility, untouched by the chaos of the outside world. Yet his arrival felt like a harbinger of change, a disruption to their serene existence. The townsfolk watched from their windows, a mixture of curiosity and apprehension in their eyes. They whispered among themselves, speculating about his origins and intentions. Fear and intrigue danced in their gazes as they tried to make sense of the stranger's presence. The stranger moved with an unnerving stillness, his gaze fixed on the heart of Harmony Springs. Each step he took seemed to echo through the silent streets, amplifying the sense of dread that had settled over the town. An unsettling feeling settled over the town, a premonition of things to come. The air was thick with anticipation, as if the very atmosphere was charged with electricity. The townsfolk could sense it. A storm was brewing, and the stranger was at its center. Days turned into nights, each one colder than the last. Strange occurrences began to plague Harmony Springs. Objects moved inexplicably. Whispers followed in the dead of night. Children's toys came alive with a life of their own. Fear, once a stranger, now lingered in the air like a thick fog. The townsfolk gathered in hushed tones. Theories flew like sparks in a windstorm. Some dismissed the events as mere coincidence, but others saw a darker truth lurking beneath the surface. The stranger became the focal point of their anxieties. His arrival coincided with the unsettling events, and his piercing blue eyes seemed to hold the answers they desperately sought. The once vibrant laughter of children was replaced by a haunting silence. The townsfolk, once so full of life, now walked with hunched shoulders and fearful glances. Harmony Springs, once a sanctuary of peace, was now held captive to an invisible terror. The stranger, a constant presence, seemed to observe their every move. His piercing blue eyes followed them like a hawk stalking its prey. The townsfolk began to avoid his gaze, fearing what they might see reflected back at them. The harmony that once defined their lives was shattered, replaced by a suffocating fear that threatened to consume them all. Section 5. The Raven's Warning, a Cry in the Night. The night was still, the air thick with an unsettling quiet, as if the world itself was holding its breath. A piercing shriek shattered the silence of the night, echoing through the trees and sending shivers down the spines of those who heard it. A raven, its black feathers glinting in the moonlight, circled above the town, its cries filled with an unearthly dread. The bird's presence was a dark omen, a warning of something sinister lurking in the shadows. Old tales whispered of ravens as harbingers of doom, their presence a sign of impending darkness. These stories, passed down through generations, spoke of nights just like this, where the raven's call heralded disaster. The townsfolk, their hearts pounding in their chests, huddled in their homes, too afraid to venture out into the night. They peered through their windows, eyes wide with fear, as the raven's cries echoed through the empty streets. The stranger, bathed in the eerie glow of the moon, stood in the town square, his head tilted back, as if listening to the raven's mournful cries. His presence was as unsettling as the birds, a figure cloaked in mystery and dread. His piercing blue eyes seemed to burn with an unnatural intensity, reflecting the fear that gripped the town. Those eyes, cold and unyielding, seemed to see into the very souls of the townsfolk, amplifying their terror and leaving them paralyzed with fear. Section 6. Vanishing Act. The Missing Townsfolk. Dawn broke, casting a pale light on a horrifying discovery. The miller, a kind soul known for his hearty laugh, was gone. His mill, once a hive of activity, stood silent and still. Panic seized the town. The stranger, nowhere to be seen, became the prime suspect. A search party was hastily assembled, their faces etched with a mixture of fear and determination. They scoured the woods, their calls echoing through the trees, but the miller was nowhere to be found. As darkness fell, they returned to Harmony Springs, their hope dwindling with the setting sun. The stranger, they whispered, had taken him. Section 7. Confrontation. Facing the unknown. Fear turned to anger. The townsfolk, armed with pitchforks and torches, gathered in the town square, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames. The stranger, his tall figure casting a long shadow, stood at the edge of the light, his piercing blue eyes watching them with an unnerving calmness. "What have you done with him?" boomed a voice, thick with anger and fear. The stranger remained silent, his gaze unwavering. The tension crackled in the air, as thick as the smoke from their torches. "Answer us!" another voice cried out. The stranger slowly reached up and pulled back his hood, revealing his face for the first time. Section 8. The stranger's gaze. A glimpse of terror. His face, pale and gaunt, was etched with a sorrow that seemed to span centuries. His eyes, once piercing blue, now glowed with an unnatural light, revealing a glimpse of something ancient and evil that sent shivers down their spines. A collective gasp escaped the townsfolk. This was not a man, they realized, but something else entirely. Something that did not belong in their world. The stranger opened his mouth, and a voice, cold and devoid of emotion, echoed through the square. "This town," he rasped, "is built on a lie." Section 9. Revelation, the town's dark secret. The stranger's words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken truths. He spoke of a pact made generations ago, a sacrifice made to ensure the town's prosperity. A pact, he claimed, that had been broken. The townsfolk exchanged uneasy glances. Whispers of long-forgotten legends, dismissed as mere folklore, resurfaced. The stranger, they began to understand, was not their enemy, but a harbinger of their own making. He was here to collect what was owed. Section 10. Escape from Harmony Springs, a desperate flight. Panic erupted. The townsfolk, their faces contorted in terror, scattered. They fled their homes, their belongings left behind, desperate to escape the curse that had befallen their town. The stranger watched them go, his expression unreadable. He had shown them the truth, revealed the darkness that lurked beneath the surface of their idyllic lives. Harmony Springs, once a sanctuary of peace, was now a ghost town, forever tainted by the sins of its past. Section 11. The Aftermath, Picking Up the Pieces. The survivors of Harmony Springs were scattered to the winds, forever haunted by the events that transpired. They carried with them the weight of their town's secret, the knowledge that their prosperity had come at a terrible price. The stranger, his purpose fulfilled, vanished without a trace. Some whispered that he was a demon, summoned by the town's broken pact. Others believed him to be an angel, sent to deliver them from their own darkness. The truth, like the stranger himself, remained shrouded in mystery. Section 12. The unanswered question, who was the stranger? The tale of Harmony Springs serves as a chilling reminder that even in the most idyllic of settings, darkness can lurk beneath the surface. It speaks to the dangers of forgotten history and the price of unchecked ambition. But most importantly, it leaves us with the unanswered question, who was the stranger? Was he a force of evil or a harbinger of justice? Or was he perhaps something else entirely? The answer, like the stranger himself, remains lost to the mists of time.